Hi, my name is Stephanie Anderson, and I am a foodie for Jesus. Recently, I had something pretty embarrassing happen to me, and fortunately, I was around good friends, so it wasn't as big of a deal. Although I'm sure I'm going to be getting a hard time about it for a while. What had happened is it was after church, and my husband and I were standing around talking with some good friends, and normally, we'll have Beholding Christian who's about a year old, and then Abe sometimes will be running around, but we all kind of keep an eye on him. And we were standing there talking, and I started kind of looking around, and I was like, "Where is Abe?" And I said, "Honey, do you know where Abe is?" And he looks at me, and he gave me this look like he's like points to him. I was holding my son and I was looking for him at the same time. So we all got a good laugh out of it. I was a little like, oh, wow. Like it was embarrassing, but also funny at the same time. And very much an indicator of sometimes what happens in life when things just get like so busy. And I, certainly will blame it on maybe a lack of sleep, not getting much sleep these days, with Christian getting me up in the middle of the night a lot, and a lot of those sweet moments with him in the middle of the night. But it results in me being one sleepy mama, and just like life being very busy. So it really made me think about just like with everything going on in life, sometimes we kind of what's important to us, what we're looking for is right there. Like me holding my son, I'm looking around for him, and I'm holding him. He's like, and I think in my head I was thinking I was holding Christian and Abe was running around, but really Christian was in his little car seat and I was holding Abe. So sometimes the things that we're looking for are like right there in front of us. But it also made me think about just like with all the things that are being juggled right now. And I'm sure all of you, if not the vast majority, can relate to just having a lot going on in life. If you're a parent, if you're single, if you're working full time, if you're at home with the kids all the time, whatever it is, like there is so much going on. And oftentimes it feels like there's not enough hours in the day. And it brings me to the idea of priorities, right? How in the world do we prioritize and how do we balance everything? I know I myself personally struggle with that between, working full time, being a mom, wanting to be the best wife and mother I possibly can be, being committed to my husband, committed to my children, having responsibilities at church, and also doing foodie for Jesus, and just wanting to be the best I can be in terms of, making healthy meals and getting exercise and all of these things. And I was like, how in the world do we balance it? How do we manage this kind of ultimate balancing act of what's important? So think for a moment of your top 5 priorities. You can write them down if you want to, but just kind of think what they are. Think of what they are. So if I took a moment and wrote down kind of what comes to mind for me, I think it's hard putting them in a definite order, and I think that they're not necessarily mutually exclusive either, right? There's definitely some that overlap, right? But if I were to take a stab at it, right, here might be what I don't know if you can see that all right. So what I have is one, God, of course, top of the list, right? Although I must say that sometimes I would say verbally, yes, it's at the top of the list, but wanting my actions to mirror that. But right, it was the easiest one, number one. Then marriage, family, health, and work. So this is just a stab at it, maybe kind of what yours looks like. Yours might be different, right? But all of these things are things that should be given a priority, right? Well, I want to show you a different way of looking at it. And one of the pastors from my church showed this to me, and I've used it several times since then. And so, Pastor Kevin, if you're if you're watching this, thank you for sharing this with me. But it really helped me put things into perspective. And that's great. These things on the list, none of them are indicators of sin or anything like that. But really, what our list should look like is something like this: is God is number one at the very top. And then all this other space before the other things are listed, whatever they are, marriage, family, health, work, whatever it is, that having all that space in there, that it should be so obvious that God is number one, that the rest of the things are going to fall into place if God is in the right spot. And so I have to remind myself of this list of what my list should look like, especially when I get stressed out. This time of year when I'm recording this, the middle of summer. It's a busy time. My husband's really busy at the farm. Just life is busy. The days are longer. The part of the country to live in, this is the time of the year when the days are longer, and there's a lot more that we're packing into the days. Having just so much fun outside, and then also being busy with work and just all sorts of good things, but I have to keep God at that top spot, anchored, because if I do that, the rest of the things are going to fall into place. So even when I think about my day, and making, all these things that have to get done, is making sure that God is in that spot. Um, there's I believe it was Martin Luther who said, usually I spend an hour in time with the Lord each day, but I'm really, really busy right now, so I need to spend 2 hours. So I'm not sure if I'm quoting it exactly correctly, but you get the idea, right? Of that, even when we're so busy, that's just all the more reason we just need to dig in and anchor to the Lord. And I found if I haven't done that, the rest of the stuff that I'm trying to control, for example, my food, if I'm not anchored to the Lord, I might as well, the rest of the stuff, it's like it's not even worth bothering. Whereas in the past, I've just focused on trying to micromanage the food piece of it, or the weight piece of it, or the exercise piece of it. Instead, now, and this is where the true freedom is anchoring where I should be anchored, and that the rest of it will fall into place. And I'll also get clarity if things are out of order a little bit. So I'm going to challenge you, if you're also in a busy state of your life right now, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of something that you're even right there holding in your arms, and you're like thinking you're losing it, right? If you're at a spot where you're just, overwhelmed, and you're not sure there's so many high priority things, how do you truly get things in order? Or you may be like how I've been at many times. If I'm writing out a list, God may be at the top, but if you looked at the way that I organize my day, it wouldn't reflect that. So make it easy. Just put God in the number one spot. Everything else will fall into place. So I want to challenge you to do that. Thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to next time.